Shabbat Shalom. It's Rabbi David Baron with a Torah talk for this weekend. I hope you've enjoyed these Torah talks. They're about 5 minutes in length, and I think they contain kernels of inspiration for you to take with you throughout the coming week. This Shabbat is known as a special Shabbat. It's called Shabbat Zahor, the Sabbath of Remembrance. Think about it for a minute. What are the things we remember, and what are the things we fail to remember? Sometimes the things we try not to remember are as important in terms of our personal spiritual development as the things that we do consciously remember. Why is this so significant? This is the Shabbat before Purim, the celebratory holiday in which we rejoice at the redemption of the Jewish people of Persia from the cruel plans of an evil dictator, Haman, who sought to destroy the Jewish people. You know, the situation in Iran is still pretty complex, and Jewish people, in spite of what you may hear, suffer tremendously. So many of them in exile. Our Iranian Jewish brothers and sisters who are living here in Los Angeles and New York and around the world have fled that horrific persecution in the name of religious fanaticism that exists today in our day and age in Iran. But we remember the tyrants throughout history, but we also remember the times of exaltation and redemption. It's really important to think about how we remember and what we remember. In today's Torah reading, we read about this Shabbat, about the building of the Mishkan, the portable sanctuary that the Israelites carried with them from place to place. And the Torah reading begins with the giving, the gifts of all the people of gold and silver and linens and all kinds of beautiful fabrics to build a magnificent sanctuary, a portable sanctuary. I think the portability of the sanctuary is an important lesson too, because it doesn't matter where you are or where you go, as long as you keep your faith deep within you and practice these mitzvot, these commandments. It doesn't matter where that particular place of prayer is located, as long as it's within you. But the Torah goes on to describe how the people gave, and it says, Kol asher yidvenu libo, which translates, everyone whose heart made him or her willing. That idea of giving willingly, spontaneously, to join and participate in something people are doing. I remember when we started our Temple of the Arts and we acquired this beautiful Saban Theater, people just all joined in and participated. And think about it. Can you remember the last time you participated in giving willingly and joining others for a good cause? That's such an important part of what constellates us as human beings. What defines us is how we give, the way we give, and the things we give to and support. And it has to be personal as well. In the Torah reading, in the Haftorah reading, the portion from the prophets taken from the book of Kings, it parallels the Torah reading and describes King Solomon's building of the Bet HaMikdash, of the Holy Temple. And you know, there's an interesting story about the Holy Temple. Of course, it was destroyed the last time by the Romans, but one outer wall remained, western perimeter wall, which we call the Kotel, the holiest site in Judaism, the outer remaining wall of Solomon's temple. And who built that? The poor. The poor who had nothing to give. They had no gold or silver. They worked a long day at their particular task or labor, and then they came at night to build the outer perimeter wall so that they too could participate in the building of the magnificent Holy Temple. And that's the only wall that remains to this day. So sometimes it matters not as much the scope of what you give or the amount you give, that you give it willingly from your heart to join in an effort. That's really critical. In the Torah reading, we also have a description of the two angels whose wings were spread towards each other, the cheruvim, as they are called, or known as the lights and perfection. And it says that they were facing each other as a man or woman would face his or her neighbor, as a man or woman would face one another. This idea of facing one another and looking at each other and listening to one another is a very critical part of the humanity that is at the heart of any effort that we participate in. So I want you to think about how and what you give, how and what you remember. All of us have memories that we'd rather forget about, but they're a part of what we are, and learning to recall them and deal with them is a very crucial part of growing and evolving spiritually. Lastly, in describing the Torah portion, we recognize that it's really important for each and every one of us to do the best we can in life. We're emerging from this horrific pandemic that's had all of us locked down. I'm wearing a suit and tie today. I can't stay in sweatpants and a sweatshirt all day, every day, 7 days a week. I need to really get dressed and show myself and each of you respect for what we're talking about, something so sacred and precious, our Torah portion. I hope you'll take that message as well, and let's follow the example that we set for each other of loving God, loving one another, and respecting the place we come from, and also cherishing the memories. One great sage once put it so well. He said, "Forgetfulness leads to exile, but remembrance leads to redemption." So on this Shabbat Zahor, on this Sabbath of Remembrance, let's remember not just the cruelty, but how we emerged, how we survived, how we were resilient, and how we lent a hand to help one another and the causes that we believe in. Shabbat Shalom.